right, so we'll get started. We may be able to get out of here early. The board meeting actually was really long this month, but there's pieces of it we've decided to save for, hi Lori. We've decided to save for in-service. So Matt Krull did a great presentation on the Noel Lovitz information, and we've decided that really everybody should hear that information, so we're going to save that presentation for August in service. And Kevin did a long presentation on the budget. A lot of the information is stuff we've shown before, so he's going to primarily focus on certain pieces of it, and we're going to talk about that money that's in the state budget that passed and what that means. Woo-hoo! Yes. But everybody, as I've been excited and going places and saying, oh, we finally have a budget, everybody says to me, wait until you see the check. Okay. But we're going to be very hopeful that we're going to get it. I'm going to move this down just a little bit. I think it's a little loud. Okay, so we'll just get to the other things that were covered on the agenda. If I can find it here. So one of the things, I mentioned this before at the presidential briefing, and I'm for sure going to mention it today, the bus is going to be replaced. Yes. Well, the technology in here is like, what, 17 years old? If any of you have any technology at home that's 17 years old, it's probably like from Night at the Roxbury phones or something like that. I was someplace and the telephone was like a big old dial. So anyway, we will do a few things with our technology in this room once the check is in the bank. So anyway, is it still buzzing? Is there somebody up there? Am I like really loud this month? Okay, I'm going to just hold it. Is that better? Maybe. What's up, RJ? Speaking of technology. Okay, so maybe I'm going to have to go stand by the bus. Oh, thank you. Is that Charlotte up there? Hello, Charlotte. Thank you. So let's see, what did we talk about? We talked about grants. We're doing really good in grants. I think we talked last month about the fact that we got an Upward Bound grant. There's planning going on, a director's getting hired. It's in partnership with DeKalb High School. So we'll have them up in student services by Keith and the other trio grant. So that's very exciting. It'll help us work with students and getting them college and career ready. So we probably will be talking more about that grant as we roll it out. Once we get a director hired, we'll do more of a presentation so people can understand. Well, hello, everybody from Student Services. I was just talking about trio. But Mark's doing a really good job of managing our grants and just getting money in the college. We're doing good with our ICCB grants. There's a couple of new ones this year that we applied for that we're getting. And so if you're interested in the details, you can go on the web and look at the board packet. The grants report is out there. But overall, we're very pleased. We had like 1.8 million in grants last year, which is significant. A significant amount of money for grants. So I'm very happy about that and hope to continue to bring in more money to do innovative projects. The first thing that was approved, the first thing on new business is, this isn't working. I'm going to put it back on. Okay, the first very exciting thing that was voted on at I'm sorry. I don't know. Am I just too loud today? I'll whisper. The first thing that was voted on, now I've said that 3 times, was the KCEA contract. Woohoo. We spent 4 months negotiating, doing an IBB form, interest-based bargaining form of bargaining. Usually a federal mediator is assigned to help colleges do those. And after we met the federal mediator assigned to us, we decided we couldn't use that mediator. It wasn't going to work for us. Could not get a different one, so we flew solo. And so 6 of us, including Samantha Daly and Dave Damon, who were note takers, but Joanne and Bill and I were a part of the negotiating team, and Jen Jossendahl, Tim Benaziak, and Perneville Ellis. So the 6 of us sat in the boardroom most Fridays this spring, and then other days as well, and lots of homework in between, and are so pleased that we reached an agreement that they ratified and that the board has now approved, and we're all going to go forward. It's a 5-year contract, which is wonderful. I was hoping for a 6-year because I thought I could get to retirement, but 5-year will be good. But who knows, maybe I won't retire in 6 years, we'll see. But anyway, it's very exciting, and we can just move forward. And so good things to come from that, and very pleased, very, very pleased with the whole process and the people who were involved, and everybody behind those people who were working on the contract. So all good there. We talked about the budget. Kevin will do that after I'm done. He'll come up and talk a little bit about that. Let's see, we approved a couple of we did a couple of policy revisions. One is on social media. It just has a little bit of tweaking to it if you want to see, and it really just has to do with what we can require, but it's what you do in social media as an employee on your own. So it just makes it a little bit, I would say, looser, a little bit. Yeah, okay, so if you're interested in that, go ahead and take a peek at that one. And then the other one was a policy related to solicitation, and like when the Gideons are here by the door, and they asked me 4 times if I wanted their product, and that was that. I was good. So we changed the policy about where those, so now we're doing a public gathering space, and it will be kind of between this building and admissions in that grassy area right there. So if people want to assemble or distribute or whatever, we will have kind of an area for solicitation and things, and so that people won't be posted at our doors. So it's pretty typical that other colleges do that as well. So that's that was the policies we revised, and then just more on our budget. We're ending the year very well with our budget. Were you going to talk about the reserves a little bit? Okay, then I don't need to talk about any of that. One thing I do want to mention is for the past probably 9 months, Kevin and his team have been working with some architects and working with some other firms on developing a master campus plan for what our needs are for repair. We know that part of the building is closed because of the water damage last summer, but there are other things. We just don't know. We've never had like a campus master plan, like how long are the roofs of our buildings good, and what are the other things? What do we need to do? So they've completed their work for the most part now, and on July 25th, the architect will be here to present to us this master plan of what we need to roll out for our facilities. And that'll be a really good thing for us to have, and it happens to coincide really well with the state funding discussion, because we know that there are some issues on our campus. And then in partner with that, we're going to look at utilization. How many rooms do we need? With the rooms we need, do we have the right technology in those rooms? And painting, how often should we paint? How often should we do some of those things? I can tell you right now that I'm on a kick. I'd like some painting done around here. I think we need some painting. I think there's some furniture around here that could stand to be redone. So we've got some ideas. I've certainly got some ideas, and I know Keith, there you are. Keith's got some ideas. We're kind of partners in crime now about some things that we want to do to mostly spruce up student spaces, to make those a little more, some of the triangle areas with the fire pits, we're thinking they could use a little love, some of the furniture that's surrounding those. And just some wall painting and things like that. We have such beautiful parts of our campus, and then we have some more dated parts, and we need to put some attention into those more dated parts, and I'm sure the architects will also tell us stuff we can't see that we need to do in some of those areas. So that will be a big deal. We'll probably roll that out maybe at in-service. That would be a good time to really roll out that plan and share with folks what it looks like and what we're doing. But in the meantime, I think Keith and his crew might start doing some painting this summer yet and get a few things done and get some stuff ready for students. If there's an area that you have seen that really is in need of some attention, painting, furniture, whatever, if you want to just get that to somebody who can get it to Keith or I or Kevin or somebody, maybe RJ. Yeah, give it to RJ. Give it to RJ.
I'll give it to Keith.
Because those should be our priority areas, again, especially if it's a classroom that we don't maybe get into all that much, and there's some nasty stuff on the walls or whatever, let us know so that we can get that cleaned up for our students before they get here. Okay, so very exciting to actually, I said, oh my gosh, first time I'm a president and I can figure out how to do something without figuring out what we're gonna cut. So it is kind of nice, but it's not gonna last long. It's not that much. We already built 1.5 million into next year's budget, so the 4.5 or close, 4 point, maybe 5, yeah, 5 that we're gonna get next year, 1.5 of it we've already put into the budget, so that's 3.5. For 2 years, we've done nothing to the building. We are gonna get a little bit of carryover from last year, but we need to watch our reserves as well because the budget only lasts until June 30th, and then we have to start all over. So it'll be short-lived, but again, there are just some things that we know we need to do to keep up with the goals of the college and making sure we look like a really nice college. That's very important, that we have good learning space for our students. All right, so that is pretty much it. The only other thing that I have, I'll go through a little bit of my president's report, and that again is on the web if you're interested in seeing where I travel to and all of the press releases we've done, and that kind of stuff. There was some good news. We last month talked about Leslie. I think I saw Leslie come in. Yep, there you are. Our swimming girl, swimming with the sharks, that she was out in San Francisco, and then I ran into her in the hall yesterday, and now she was up in Wisconsin doing one with the muskies and the northerns and the bass. So, Wisconsin fish, I know. Bluegill. Muskies, there's muskies. Yeah, they've got big teeth. Yeah. Yeah, stay away from them. But anyway, so keep up the good work. Wear your Kish. Do you have a Kish swimsuit? Maybe that's something else we need to get in the bookstore. Betty Chilton. Where did I see you, Betty? There you are, back there. She's in her new golf shirt. Speaking of the bookstore, I just bought one yesterday, new golf shirt. Jessica's getting a lot of cool stuff in, so you'll have to go down and check it out. And not just clothes, she's getting some other cool stuff in too. So Betty was highlighted as an outstanding alum of NIU. So very proud of Betty and her accomplishments. Yay. And I believe last month we talked about the award that Everett got as the 2017 Outstanding Educator Award, and very well deserved. Everett's a great addition to our college and a great instructor, as many of them are, but it's nice that they are recognized. Enrollments, do we have to talk about this? I'm still optimistic. I know Matt thinks this is kind of where we're going to be, but I'm going to hold out hope that students are just getting later and later and later every semester, and that we're still going to see, and now that we have the budget, that maybe it'll encourage more people to come to school. We've still got a couple of campaigns we're going to roll out. We're going to do a learn and earn. We have 60 student worker positions unfilled right now. That's a lot of student workers, and we think what's happening is they're going to work somewhere else, so we're increasing the pay of student workers to $10 an hour. And we're going to do a campaign, and we're going to send it out to the students who applied or were here before who haven't re-enrolled, and let them know that there are these campus jobs, so that while they're going to school they can also work for us and so earn and learn. So we're going to try that campaign to see if we can get those. Many of us know we rely on those student workers to do a lot of support work for us and keep the college going. So, and it's just a great opportunity. So watch for that, but we're going to continue to work on those enrollments for fall. We're 12 something, but we're gonna keep plugging away at it. There's a lot of activity going on, and I think Michelle, where are you? There you are, Michelle, busy working. Got lots to write down, or she's taking copious notes of what I say for the quiz later. Oh. That's just fine. That appointments are very busy. Yes? Yes. We're very busy. That's good news. Glad to hear that. So we're interviewing right now for some of our advisor positions, which will be really helpful. Yes, Ann?
When does the $10 an hour start?
Okay, when does the question was, when does the $10 an hour start? Did we say August 1st? August 1st. What we have to do before we do the campaign is we have to let our current student workers know, and that's what we're working on right now, right? I think the HR folks and Cindy, as I think some of you know, has been helping out a little bit in HR with their consulting things with Aleutian and helping getting their systems in place. So I know they're busy working on that, and so we need to notify the current students. Yes, because when we talked about this at the board meeting, Phil, who is our student trustee, who's also a student worker, says, are we counting current workers? Because then he'll get a nice raise too. But we think what's happening is that students can get jobs off campus for $10 an hour. So that's why we're looking at. And the minimum wage in Illinois is going up for sure in January, is slated to be going up. So we thought, you know what, rather than do two of them, let's just do it now and be done with it. And then we'll be all set. So let's see. Goals, we started, the senior leadership team did a retreat in June where we started to talk about our goals we reviewed the goals for this year. We're gonna now meet next week, talk about the goals for next year. I don't know if any of you remember, but at in-service last year is when we first rolled out some of our strategic directions and our goals. At the in-service this year, we'll talk about what we've accomplished, and then we'll talk about the goals we're gonna set for next year. So lots of goal setting, reviewing, monitoring, tracking our progress going on right now. And then the other thing that happened at the board meeting is they did their evaluation of me. So I've been evaluated every 6 months. Now I think I get to go a year for an evaluation, but I think it's always good to get the feedback. It lasts about an hour and a half. I guess they had a lot to say to me, but it's very good information. And yes, they're gonna keep me. I get to stay. I hope you're all right with that, but I get to stay. But it's just interesting to think about, and really my evaluation isn't just about me as president. It's about what all of us do together, because there is not a chance, not even a slim chance, that I could do anything that I do without the support of everybody, and that we're all working together. And I know everybody's working hard, and I did say to them that I think sometimes I probably push people too much, and I recognize that. But you know, we educators know this, people rise to level of expectation. And so I don't always expect people to get accomplished everything. You set out, it's called stretch goals. You work for it, and you do your very best. And I know everybody at this college has worked really, really hard the last year and a half since I got here, because of a lot of reasons, and one of them being that I came and had these ideals and ideas of how we wanted to move Kishwaukee College forward, working with all of you. And I think we're getting there, and I think we're doing a great job, and we're going to continue to push. But we are going to start to plateau out, because we've taken care of a lot of things, which you will see. It's amazing, and I know Linda Mason commented on the results is 4 pages long of the things we've done, and she's like, and you folks did this with very little money. I think one of the things that they talked about that they're most impressed with, that they see, is that the silos that used to exist at this college don't seem to exist anymore. That we really have embraced this idea of team, and everybody working together, and everybody supporting each other to accomplish the mission. And I definitely see that. I see everybody partnering and just really chipping in and doing what they have to. And so that it's so heartwarming to see that happen, and it's what keeps me going even through, you know, those tougher times and hard times. It's just, you know what, we're getting there, and we're gonna be at such a better place, and we're gonna serve our students so well. And I love how all of you are putting the students first, and we're doing what's in the best interest of the students. And I have to tell you, the negotiations was based on that this time, and it did kind of I got a little choked up at the board meeting talking about it, because I really feel that while we all were negotiating, we have to negotiate because we only have limited resources. The faculty negotiates for what the faculty association needs. But at the end of the day, all of the discussion was about what are we doing for our students? How are we going to make this work in the best interest of our students? And so you, as a college, have come light years, really light years in the last year and a half. And I think you should all be super proud of the fact that you've done what you've done and continue to do. And we're just going to keep moving forward. One of the things you're going to start to see us working on is some succession planning. It's one of the things we got dinged on in the AQUIP portfolio last time, and we need to step it up a bit and make sure we at least have a really good start. So senior leadership started some conversation about, like, if somebody leaves, who in those key critical positions, which most of us have, who then takes their place and who helps out or who can fill in behind. And one very, very critical position, and nope, she's not going anywhere, thank God, because I'd probably have to leave too, is Cindy. Cindy has years and years and years of knowledge. She does all the board policies, she trained me, no doubt. But she's got so much knowledge that we have to start getting other people to learn her knowledge. Same with Dawn, who does all of the curriculum stuff and all. There are just key people who have a lot of information, who've been here a long time. Wilma's been in her leadership role for a long time as well. So we have got to start thinking about how do we get more people to understand that knowledge. So Betty has graciously given up Tammy a little bit. Tammy's going to come up and help, and she's going to start to learn some of these things. With Cindy, with Dawn, we're going to start doing we've got to start doing a little bit more cross-training. So if you see Tammy sitting up by Cindy's area, or if you see Cindy in HR, we're just, no one's going anywhere, no one's losing any job, it's nothing, nobody's leaving, we're not planning for a retirement. It's just, as an organization, we have to make sure that people know each other's jobs. So if something happens, I use the hit by a bus, but whatever, if something happens, that we have some people who at least can sort of take in behind, or step in behind them. So that's what's going on. So I know this place likes to talk, and that's okay, it's because y'all love each other. So you want to know what everybody's doing. So if you see some of that, that's the case. And then Brianna, right, is going to fill in for you, Betty, a little bit once she's done with her stint with Jamie. Jamie's position is posted. So we've got this shell game thing going on, but pretty soon everybody's going to know everybody's job, so that'll be good. But that, again, just goes to show how we have to just work and help each other. And I know Michelle and I just this morning had a meeting, and she's got to do some of that same stuff in her area. So hang on, folks. We're not trying to drive you over the edge. We're just trying to make sure we all can keep moving together in this organization. And we're smaller. We just have less people. So that means that people need to have more knowledge and share that knowledge. So I think with that, I'm just going to see if there's anything else before I turn it over to Kevin. Fall in service, we're going to kind of use the same structure we did last year, and we're going to close down from 8 to noon. And everybody is going to be here. And together as a college, we're going to talk about how we kick off the year for 4 hours, and then we'll reopen services. But we'll get that posted. I know Katie and her team will be working on the signage, and we'll get that up and running. And we're starting to plan the agenda. It's going to be good stuff and stuff that we feel like the college needs to hear. And we'll kick off the goal setting again, like I already mentioned. And then, so what else we're going to talk about here in the next 20 minutes before we do good news is Kevin's going to do a state budget update. Then RJ's going to talk about the email and phone. And by the way, you're already kish.edu. You can already start using it. I wrote it on my first grant application yesterday, so it's much smaller. It fits in the line now. And then Katie's going to talk to us a little bit about food service. Is there anything else I was going to talk about that I forgot that anybody can think of? We're all good. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to the money man, Kevin Fuss.
Well, you'll be glad to know I did trim down my presentation. If you were at the board meeting, there were a lot of slides on that. So for the first time, though, at the board meeting, it was the budget presentation was a little bit longer because we went through some funds with them that we don't normally go through. We always talk about the operating funds, but we went through all of the other ones as well. So it took a little bit longer, but I'll spare you that. If you're interested in the audit fund at some point, you can come visit with me and I'll walk you through that. It's probably half of the size of the presentation. I'll get through this pretty quickly. Actually, I think I cut out the slide on the fund balance, but I'll just tell you that. And what I did is just, the first few slides were just kind of an overview for them so they can understand the budget in context. And so I started with the fund balance. And so just gave them like 4 years in a row. So it's, over the last 4 years, it's been as high as $5.9 million, and last year was as low as 3.9. We think we're going to finish the year somewhere between 5.2, 5.2 and a half, maybe as high as 5.3, so somewhere in there. And the board, it's not a policy or anything, but they like to keep it, or the target was somewhere around 25%, and that's about where it is right now. So I just kind of shared that information with them. And the other thing I wanted to do for the board is just to kind of, and for you, is to just set some context for the overall operating dollars that we spend. And so over the last few years, this has been the budgeted operating revenues and expenses. So 23, 23.7, down to 20. And this year, we're looking at somewhere around 20.6 is where we think we're going to be. And you can see how that breaks down. 38% from local, and that's property taxes. 53%, that's tuition and fees, and then 7%, all the way down to 7%. I think we looked even 3 years ago, back in FY15, we were at about 23% from the state. So then we just went through some revenue estimates with the board. So we assumed property tax, EAVs, if you own a home, that's going to go up another 6%. It was up a little bit more than that this year. And just to get an idea of what we've budgeted in the past for property taxes, last year 7.34, so it was a nice increase. And then again, we budgeted an increase in FY18. So that's the first major revenue source. The other major revenue source, of course, is from the state. And we want to hopefully it'll remain a major revenue source. The assumption for going into the budget was a reduction to $1.5 million. And so over the last few years, you can see that it's varied quite a bit. Back in 14 and 15, we were around 5. FY16, everybody remembers what happened that year. And then last year, we came in at 2.9. This year, the original budget estimate was $1.5 million. But as you might have heard a week ago today, the state, the legislature overrode the governor's veto of the revenue bill, the expenditure bill, and the implementation bill, all within like 5 minutes. They overrode that. And so this is kind of what it looks like for us. The dollars that were in that budget are going to be right at $5 million. And so base operating, and that's credit hours, the credit hours that we generate, about 2. Equalization, so equalization is just a way for districts, us, who don't have a large property tax base like up in Elgin and Rock Valley and Wabansie and all those places. They have a huge EAV. This is a way to make that a little bit more equal. So as you can see, that's more than half of the money that we get from the state from equalization. And then for the first time in many, many years, we're going to actually get some money for the Veterans Grant. So the Veterans Grant we've been paying, but we've just been writing that off at the end of the year, but there's actually some money in the budget this year. And then we have a Career and Tech Grant. So the good news is this has been appropriated by the legislature. Of course, the more challenging news that we heard from ICCB is that there's going to be a very, very slow payment process on this. If you've been following the news, you know that there's a $15 billion backlog of bills. And so while this is great news, timing of this is still in question. And so just these assumptions that we've talked quite a bit about, I think all of you are familiar with these, the things that go into the tuition and fees, the increase in tuition, technology, differential. We reduced some fees. There's been a large increase in truck driving revenue, so in that area with Joe and have done a great job growing revenue there. So that revenue isn't because we raised tuition, it's because the growth. And then we did build in a 10% enrollment decline. I think Dr. Borowitz touched on that. That's down, it is, and we had to build that into the budget. So those are all in there. The way that it shakes out over the last few years has been pretty consistent. And so this year it's 11.2. Now that 11.2 also includes the increase from the truck driving revenue. So that's built in there as well. And then we have a small amount of other revenue, federal, that equals that. So So the overall, that's revenue. So the overall expense side, we're a people business, you all know that. Most of our expenses, in fact 77% of them this year, will be salaries and benefits for us. The other 23%, we call that below the line. 23, but 14% of that's contractual supplies, and if you throw utilities on there, I mean, there's not a lot of discretionary dollars in there. Just to give you an idea of how that's compared to previous years, we're pretty much in line of where we were. Been as low as 72, as high as 78. The way that that looks is, those are just some of the assumptions that we share with the board, that these include salaries and benefits that we've already negotiated. Does include an increase for medical insurance for the calendar year 2018. And this is kind of how it looks in terms of what we spend on salaries and benefits. And then for this year, about the same as last year, 15.7, 15.8. Again, more than 3/4 of our budget. The below the line part, you all are very familiar with this, and I shared with the board how much I think from the senior leadership, Lori and the senior leadership down, recognizes that it's hard to put together a budget when there isn't money available. And so we appreciate the work that you did filling out those spreadsheets a couple different times and going back and sharpening your pencils. This is kind of the way that it shook out. We have an 11% reduction in materials and supplies. We reduced our utility cost that we budgeted for by 8. You all know that we reduced travel by 28. There were a couple of increases. One of them was the capital outlay. So in FY17, we spent, for an institution our size, we spent about $90,000. That's nothing. But we increased it by a little bit this year, mostly due to the technology plan that we've been talking about. And then there's also an increase in the contractuals by about 40, and that increase is largely driven by the fee for the assessment software that the instructional area is going to be using, which is going to be a really good thing. And so what do those look like in terms of dollars? Here's been the history. So back in FY15, we were at 6.5, down to 4.9, and we're going to be about 4.8 in FY18. So overall, as we talked to the board, we presented them with a $20.6 million balanced budget that, considering enrollments, considering the stuff going on with the state, considering the needs that we have and everything that we're doing, we were happy to be able to do that. And on behalf of all of those, of the board and everybody, I just wanted to thank you for the work that you all did helping putting those budgets together. It's not easy, and I know that. The other thing that we shared with the board is some of the things that we've deferred over the last couple years. And so these are just kind of categories just to get them thinking and understanding that when you build a budget like this that's balanced with fewer revenue, that comes from not spending money somewhere. And here are some of the areas that we haven't spent money on. One of them is technology. So we're looking at laptops for full-time faculty. We're looking at professional staff and any administrators who don't have laptops. That you know, the way that it is now with doing work off campus, doing work in conference center meetings and in presentations and so forth. If you're teaching online, it's really important to have that technology to take with you. One of the last things we cut out of the budget was an increase for upgrading. I think it was up to 10 classrooms, and so we just shared that with the board. There's some fiber upgrades that we need to do. There's some consulting services that we're really hoping to get done in 17 that we just couldn't, that aren't in the 18 budget. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to do that? Skip that one. Everybody knows about that. As much as we like this. The other thing, you know, there's things like security camera. We use a variety. We have used a couple different versions of a security system, and one of them is quite old. And wouldn't it be nice to have one system that we could use? The other thing is we used to do a technology. We have a technology replacement plan. So it's like every 4 years this would get replaced. Then it went to 5, and then it went to 7. and now we don't have a technology replacement plan. But wouldn't it be nice to be able to get back into doing that? And then, you know, when you're talking about when the first directive for putting together a budget from us is you can't spend any more. And there's not a lot of discussions within the departments of what they need, so we'd like to maybe start those up again. I think Lori talked about the facility condition assessment needs. There's going to be a plan developed to recarpet, repaint, make sure the HVAC and roofs and air handling units and 100 other things are on a plan so that we know today what our expenses are going to be over the next several years. And we've already talked too, I think, Laura, about the furniture that's in by some of the fire pits and some of the classroom furniture up in the new area is very nice. But take a walk to some of the B14 areas, maybe A14, A1300, A1200. It's not so nice. And so we need to start looking at that and seeing how we can go about getting that stuff updated. It makes the college, when students walk in, it doesn't create a real good first impression if your first class is in one of these that has furniture that frankly is almost 40 years old. So we'll see what we can do about that. And then there's some other things about if we have information on the condition of the facilities and we have utilization, how can we put that together? And then instructional capital needs. So just some next steps I shared with the board where the tentative budget is now available. They don't actually approve the budget until September because things change, and in this case there's been some changes, so we'll probably add that additional state revenue and so forth with those prioritized deferred expenditures I shared with you. We'll have to look at those, and then again, their final budget approval is at the September board meeting. So that's the information I shared with them, and now you have it.
Any questions for Kevin? Connie has a question.
Oh. It could be. That's something we need to talk, when we talk about departmental needs and technology, that's something we probably would be on the discussion list.
For those on the tape, she said copy or replacement. Ann?
Kevin, were any accessibility needs factored into facility needs?
We have not developed the plan yet.
Yep. So right now it's just a bunch of tables and charts, so we need to share that information with the board but yeah, the facility condition report includes everything from roofs to ADA things. They looked at everything.
Dave's getting a call. All right, I forgot one thing. I'm back. I forgot to go over the employment status report, just the changes in employees at the college, so I want to quickly do that. Steve Ernst and Deborah Ernst were hired as EMS faculty. So they were temporary positions last year, and they are now part of the college staff. Sean Kesserling, Sean is here. He has a new position. He's the lead academic advisor in student services. So we're pleased that Sean's taking on that new role and doing a lot of things there in leadership. And Nick Piazza, who is not here today, he is now our assistant director of IT. So we're excited to have him on board. We have just a couple of resignations. Samantha Daly has resigned from Kishwaukee College. Her last day will be on July 25th. She has a new job, and so we will be doing some new things with leading HR. Scott, oh boy, I don't know if I know how to say this name. Desvare, he is a custodian on third shift. Nick Laurie has left the organization, and Ben Nicholson has left the organization. So you'll see some positions posted, some refills of these. What's that? Oh, okay. So anyway, like I said, I always want to give you updates. There are a few positions that are going up. We're filling some upward bound positions. I mentioned the academic advisor positions that were out there. Those should be filled soon. Jamie's replacement for Mindy is out there. Anybody else think of any positions? Yes, Jill. Oh, Jill's got a position. Yeah, payroll coordinator Sarah Brooks has resigned. It didn't get on this employment report. It'll go to the board in August, but Sarah Brooks has a new position, so that position will also be posted internally, hopefully tomorrow. I know I just approved it this afternoon, so. Anybody else have anything? Financial aid assistant position? Oh, that's right, financial aid assistant position. Okay, great. Next. RJ? Kish.edu.
So just to give everyone a quick update on the Office 365 project, everything's on schedule because of the hard work of people like Stacy and others in IT. We're still scheduled to migrate everyone into the environment starting on August 7th. Usernames are currently already being updated. The kish.edu domain is ready and active. The Office 365 environment is ready. And, extensions will also be changing that week, so get ready. A lot of change. So we'll match up all the extensions to the last four numbers of the DIDs. But more communications will be coming soon on exact dates and times of information sessions that everyone can be at. And just get ready for some change. Any questions? No? Oh yeah, so the first dot last will go away in the migration as well at the end, so. Yep.
So just a question. So when faculty are preparing their syllabi for the fall, they can put their username at kish.edu?
Yeah, and that's what we had talked about.
Great.
Yeah. Yep. Good to go. Anything else?
So by first dot last, you mean first name, it's just gonna be your username at kish.edu.
Yeah, your new email address, so. Yeah, the old one will be active until, that'll be active until November, so. Yep. Anything else? Yay, kish.edu, it is much shorter, I'll give you that. Thank you.
Hello, how's everybody doing? Everyone's so quiet. I'm just going to piggyback off of the RJ a little bit. We did work yesterday afternoon. We are going to have a string of email communications that will start coming out probably end of next week, the first part of the following week, that just kind of outlines a lot of these changes and highlights how this will affect some of the things that you guys have in place already, such as some of those unique URLs. Those will all still work with kish.edu/ECC or transcript. Those will still work. You don't have to do anything with it. But so we do have a lot of those emails all ready to go. So there'll be plenty of communication, and by the end of it, you're probably going to say, stop communicating with us, because we're going to over-communicate it, because we know it is a lot of change happening all at once. Speaking of change, who visited the cafeteria this week? Yay! How do we like it? Good. So Quest officially took over at the end of June, and they are up and running in the cafeteria, and I think we can all say it's awesome. I think I've eaten there every day this week and have tried everything and have just loved it. A couple of things that have come up that just want to clarify, that have been some issues that I know are important to staff. One, the pop refills. They will be doing the pop refills at 50 cents. So they are maintaining that. So I know there's been some questions and concerns about this week, but that will be continuing moving forward. The size of the coffee. Who likes large coffee? I know I do. And so they are going to be changing up the size of the coffee cup a little bit. So starting Monday, there will be an actual large coffee if you are a coffee drinker. So again, if you have suggestions about anything, please let me know. They are being very responsive to the questions that we have or the suggestions. They're going to start wearing name tags so we can learn the new names of the individuals down there. But they have been great to work with, and hopefully you guys are finding that a pleasant environment as well. As far as catering goes, we have Chef Rudy, who is the main cafe manager down there, and then he has an assistant, Monique, and so they are actual chefs. So the catering around here will be top-notch. If you need catering for an event, similar to what the process was before, when you request your room reservation, that catering box, you can continue to click on that, and that email or that reservation form will go to Rudy, and he will reach out back out to you. We are finalizing the catering menus for internal and external individuals to use, and we'll post those and share those as soon as those are done, and that will hopefully happen on Monday. We will be looking to do a catering event the week of in-service to give staff the opportunity to kind of see what some of those capabilities will be for some of the internal catering. So stay tuned for that in-service agenda, and you'll get to be able to see firsthand what we have available to us. Let's see. To contact Rudy, he is in the global address book. So if you already have something scheduled and you need some catering, you can email rudy.galindo@kishwaukeecollege.edu right now, and then it will switch to rgalindo@kish.edu. But he is in the global address book, so you can feel free to email him with any of the needs you have coming up. And his extension and direct dial number is the same as what Kish Cafe was before, but I will post all of this out on my KC as well, so you can have it readily available. Let's see. Any questions? So that right now for summer, the hours of Kish Cafe are 7:30 to 1:30, and then come fall, they will be extended to 5:30 Monday through Thursday. So if you have suggestions or thoughts, again, please let me know. We're trying to be as responsive as we can. Miss Lori? I believe there will be coffee service on Fridays. I think it's just in the morning part. I think it's from 7:30 to 1:30 what we are right now. I believe so. I'll double check. I will confirm. We'll get all the hours posted. Anybody else? Anybody have any comments or thoughts? Okay. We'll keep visiting it, and the menu looks awesome. It is out on the cafeteria webpage on the website if you want to see what the menu is planned for the rest of this month. So, thank you.
I want to thank Katie for her leadership, and Bill worked a lot on that contract, and Kevin, and but Katie has decided she volunteered to oversee because of the conference center and the things, so she took on another responsibility, so thank you for your leadership. Just another example of how people step up and take on more, so a great team. I am so lucky to work with all of the people that I work with here. With that, I can't stand standing behind this thing. Kind of anal about that. Okay, good news. Who's got some good news to share? I have something. Bill, would you lead us in a round of happy birthday for Cindy McCluskey, whose birthday is today? Woohoo! I know there's lots of birthdays all the time, and I know I do birthday cards, but I forget them sometimes. So is anybody else's birthday today? Rich's was yesterday. Where's Rich? Right there. Happy birthday a day late. It was a big one? All right, what else have we got? Scott, this is like your inaugural.
So I'm excited to stand before you today. If you don't know me, I'm Scott Kaywall, Director of Student Involvement. I oversee athletics as the pseudo-athletic director, as well as overseeing Allison and student activities and working on intramurals. But I'm excited to tell you that we've officially have 2 new hires. That's been started actually for a while, in our women's volleyball head coach, Miss Crystal Gundy, and then our women's basketball coach, and our women's volleyball coach is Emily Bodmer. And they both were here earlier, but they're back on the trail with recruitment and getting their assistant coaches hired. But we will officially have our first volleyball game in almost 2 years, starting on August 22nd against College of DuPage. And we will actually have our first home women's basketball game in November. So we're looking forward to those events. So just want to share with everybody. Come out and watch.
This is on the list of goals that we'll talk about in August, but the board had 3 specific goals for me for this year that I did review at the meeting, and one of them was to work on athletics with a more local focus. Last year, we had 23% of our athletes, of our 3 teams, 23% of our athletes were local. This coming fall, the students that have committed to playing sports for 5 teams, we're at 52%. So thank you. You made me look good. Thank you. No, it's so, and the board is very, very pleased about that. There's a lot of people, as we all know, people who are very dedicated and committed to athletics, and the benefits, truly the benefits, I think we all know that there's lots of benefits for being a part of a team and the opportunity for local talent to continue to play. And so, and I always love it because there were a lot of people who said to me when we went on this venture of local that we could never do it, that we would never be able to find enough local athletes to field teams, and we're gonna prove them wrong. So it's very exciting. So thank you, Scott, for all you're doing, and you're doing a great job. Anybody else got some good news for us? I was gonna say, Matt, I was just looking for you.
I wanted to give kudos and happy fiscal new year to our friends in the business office. Been doing a great job closing out fiscal year 17, and thanks for your patience with me. We do also have some other good news. I don't know if I shared this in this forum in the past or not, but we will actually be running HORT 201. It's a seminar course in hydroponics. So for those of you that don't know, we have a couple of new hydroponic greenhouses that entered the Rochelle community over the last year or so. And so we're going to be introducing that topic to our horticulture program. And it's a great Monday afternoon class. So we'd love to have people actually enrolled so that we can run it now that we've put all the work into developing a course and moving forward with the infrastructure thanks to some grant money that came in. So we'd like to be able to run that. And then we also have a partnership with the German American Chamber of Commerce and the Illinois Consortium for Advanced Technical Training, where we actually have tuition-paid apprenticeship opportunities for students interested in the industrial maintenance field. And this is for a number of companies within the region, where the companies are going to be paying $5,000 per year over 3 years to cover the cost for those students. And it will also include a 2-year employment guarantee after graduation. So it's a 5-year commitment from the companies to pay for those students to come to Kish and take between 10 and 13 credit hours per semester over the next 3 years. So it's a great opportunity. So now we just need the students to fill those jobs and those classes. But it's a good opportunity for folks that are interested in the high demand area of industrial maintenance. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Matt. Yes. Last week, I presented to about 100 business people at the DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation. They did a luncheon and talking about workforce development. And I will probably share that at the August presidential briefing because I'm going to share it at the August board meeting. We had plenty on the agenda this month, but it's truly amazing all of the things that we do as a college to support local businesses and workforce development. And it's so important. Bill and I were at a meeting in DeKalb earlier today and talking with Jerry, the new mayor, and talking about Kurt up in Sycamore, who talks a lot about Kish and what we do for workforce development. It's out there, folks. They got the message. We're there to help. We have to be there to help if we're gonna get new businesses to come into the area. So it's really cool stuff, and Matt and Betty especially are really, and your people are really in the thick of that. So appreciate all the work you do to really support our local businesses. So thank you. And Bernie, of course, with the busted hand. Love your shirt, Betty.
I have one more workforce story that's kind of ties into this. And Deb Ernest just recently came to me with this information. As you may recall, last year when Deb and Steve came temporarily, the hospital had done the collaboration with Northwestern, and they wanted to follow the model of the other hospitals and have their paramedic and EMS program at the community college. And even though we always gave the college credit, it was housed over at the hospital, and the hospital paid the salaries to run the program. So last year, they gave us a grant to cover everything for the year for transition. However, we were nervous, would we be able to sustain this program, because it is a costly program. However, having first responders in the community is also pretty important too. When I call 911, I'd like somebody to be able to come. So I worked hard with Joanne. We came up with differential tuition. Steve and Deb have been doing this a long time, so they are known in the community. And they chose to stay here with us at Kish. And she just told me we had more applicants for the paramedic program. It's selective admission. We have completely filled that. The only ones we didn't take were out of district. So we met the needs of, because what this does is these are often fire departments that are looking to bring people here, and Steve and Deb work very closely with them, and we have a full class for fall of 2017. So once again, you know, the hospital partnered with us. They helped us through the transition, and we did what we could to make sure we were doing the right thing to serve the community. So it's a win-win. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you. Glad to hear they're full. Yay! Anyone else have any happy stories to share? Good stuff. All right. Well, with that, we're a couple minutes early, but that never hurts, right? To be a couple minutes ahead of schedule. Thanks again, seriously, for all you do for our students. I know you're all working hard. I hope you're having a good summer. I hope you're loving Fridays off. And we'll see you on campus. Take care. Enjoy. And find some students to enroll.